Octopath Traveler is. Octopath Traveler is perfect, is great, is what we needed. Octopath Traveler is overrated, and Octopath Traveler is an RPG I will be reviewing in today's video. Octopath Traveler is quite possibly one of the greatest RPGs I have played, and likely will be a game that can stand the test of time. A good RPG will entertain players with a captivating story, some unique battles, and an overall enjoyable experience. A great RPG is a game that can be played for hours without being boring to the player, and at the same time telling a great story with fun gameplay elements. But a perfect RPG is something that comes along once in a great while, and is often argued as a must-play game, so 20 years later, it's still a playable game. Does Octopath Traveler stand with the perfect RPGs like Chrono Trigger, Earthbound, and Final Fantasy VII? Or is it another throwaway RPG with too much grinding and a boring story? As usual, I will be looking at Octopath based upon the 5 pillars of gaming: graphics, gameplay, audio, control, and story. The most eye-grabbing feature of the game definitely is the 16-bit to 32-bit unique graphic styling that has been done here. As I said before, it's very similar to Golden Sun, another RPG that was released years ago that was also noted for its graphics as well, and its unique story. But Octopath is unique for its graphics. It's 2018 and AAA publishers are making games like Super Mario Odyssey and Final Fantasy 15. Games that are so massive with their own unique 3D worlds that can be fully explored by the player, engrossing them for hours. And Octopath is constrained to a simple 2D style grid, yet its stylized graphics are so eye-catching, it's an absolute gem of an art piece, proving once again that video games are indeed art. The story is where the game really comes together though, allowing players to explore 8 different character stories. Similar to games like Chrono Trigger, where each character that joins your party have their own unique motives for doing so. Octopath 2 does the same thing, except the characters have their own unique stories. Each individual character will have their own intro story that will have to be done before the characters can join other characters. Then there's the opportunity to go and join those characters, and obviously you'll be able to complete that story and that character's story to the end with the aid of others. At the start of the game, any character can be chosen, and in the latter parts of the game, after each character's intro portions are completed, you can choose where to go, what to do next, and when and how, and with what characters. This allows players to see 8 stories, but not be forced to do each individual story first before going to the others, only doing the intro. Kind of a get used to this character type of thing. Characters themselves, while their stories are interesting, each character has a unique gameplay aspect to them. Most RPGs have characters doing things in combat, outside of combat, that might affect the story or the progression of the game. For example, Ness can teleport in Earthbound, so that'll allow you to get to places that you need to go, and that's a unique skill to Ness, as well as another character way later on. But still, you need Ness to do it. But with Octopath, each character can do a unique action that might stem both inside and outside of combat. The traditional knight, and my personal favorite, is able to battle anyone. Well, almost anyone. So, those times when you play an RPG and an NPC is really annoying, well, here you can beat the crap out of them. That's sweet, you can just challenge them to a fight anytime you want. This introduces a unique way to not only grind levels, but also to release some stress from frustrating events in the games. Other characters can help guide people, and there are more traditional RPG elements as well, like stealing things. This gives fresh perspective to a lot of 2D RPGs, where these elements are not usually present. Also, the combat system brings something a little different, besides just turn-based combat. There's sort of a charge system where players can build a meter each turn and charge their attacks, skills, magic. It doesn't matter, whatever you use, it'll be charged up and it'll likely power up whatever it is that you are using. This gives interesting tactics to massive boss battles that take time and careful planning to defeat. But Octopath is a kind of open world game as well, So there's a downside to this, being able to wander into areas that you're not supposed to be in, way overpowered areas. While the player is able to escape these situations, with an open world RPG, a traditionally restricted game wouldn't have the player wandering around so much, so those areas probably wouldn't be accessible to them. On to the controls. While the controls are fine and they work well, it's just nothing special. Traditional RPGs don't really need a lot of controls to be played well. They often have game menus that interface with the game, and that's about it. And Octopath is no exception. There's a lot of menus in the game that allow you to do things, so basic controller works just fine. That would be the Nintendo Switch's controller. Finally, the audio is great as well. There's nothing terrible with it. There's some memorable tracks, and they sound really, really well and fitting for an RPG game. As well as some spoken audio by the main characters of the game and a few NPCs.
Stay back! Did he parried the boss's blow?
But not all of the dialogue is spoken, so there's a good amount of text to read. Just be aware of that. With 8 different paths to take, Octopath is shaping up to be one of the best games ever created, possibly Game of the Year. But while I might love the game, there are plenty of other people who do not consider the game to be so good, and actually consider it to be overrated. Some of them just don't like turn-based RPGs, which leave me scratching my head thinking, why did you bother reviewing the game if you went in knowing it was going to be a turn-based RPG? This is likely due to the nature of turn-based RPGs, which can be too slow, too long, and too filled with grinding for many people. If you don't like turn-based RPGs, you probably shouldn't play Octopath Traveler. It's a very lengthy game, and it's got a lot of turn-based RPG action. With that said, anyone who's a fan of these type of games, or RPGs, or lengthy stories, they'll probably be sinking hours into this game. Besides, who doesn't love beating the crap out of NPCs who need help from bandits? Yeah, I'm the good guy, right? Ha, just kidding. No, I'm not. I've been your host, Protomario, and I'm signing out. As always, I really appreciate you guys leaving me a thumbs up on this video if you enjoyed it. If you didn't like it, you can leave me a thumbs down and tell me how wrong I am about Octopath Traveler. It's pretty unique to see a game like this coming out in 2018. Anyways, it's something to consider, something to look into if you guys are really into RPGs. You won't regret getting this game. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. As always, good gaming, God bless, and I hope you guys come back next time for another review, video, news story, or something else gaming related.